I'm on a journey to find peace within my life. It's time to let go so I can climb to new heights. Nothing can stop me, I know, gonna make it to the end. Love is on my side, and I'm sure I'm gonna win. I wanna know the truth.
I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth.
Can you tell me?
Tell me. I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth.
I want to know the truth.
Can you tell me?
It's been a long time that I've been searching for then one thing that makes my life complete. And I'm gonna hold on, I'm gonna be strong, 'cause in my heart, truth I'll always see. I wanna know, I'm gonna know. So many illusions, so much confusions. I need a strong foundation, a pearl of truth that separates the dark from light, from day and night. Help me change and sacrifice the wrong.
How can I find the truth? Let me count the ways. I can focus on my ancestors to brighten up my day. I can listen to a sage or an elder's wise words. Try some deep meditation where the Most High is served. Because the truth is beautiful, like children playing in the park, or inside of rhyme ciphers where genius is spark. Be the dark, the light, and all the time that's in between. And you can find mad truth inside a trance states and dream. Listen to that little voice, it be telling you for true. And with a bit of divination, show you what you gonna do. Whether it comes abstract or the stone hard fact. Cause if it comes from God, it be the truth, that's that. Yo, no need to question, just learn the lesson. And ain't no stretching, cause it's truth we're manifesting. Like what? Like what? What? One, two, I wanna know
Can
the
you
truth.
tell me? Can you let me know?
I need the truth.
The truth.
You definitely need to know the truth.
I really want to know the truth.
The food. Peace and blessings, everyone. We need to know the truth, don't we? All right. Welcome. See Brother Tenzin in the house. Aima, Beverly. Bye. William, David. All right, move the tap. Brother Frank in the house. Good to see you. Oh, you want to know the truth? Yes, we can. You're in the right place at the right time to know the truth. With the master teacher Ra'un Nefer Amen and the Kamitic Legacy Experience, I want to welcome you. Let me know if you can hear me well. I see you, Kansas City, in the house. Yeah, the music is smoking, ain't it? That's the late, great Ankh Ra Amenhotep, one of our ancestors now. And we will be bringing his music to Kamitic Stream very shortly. Peace, Sister Aretha. Brother Kima, I see you. Sawanir from Hawaii. Brother David the King. Francine, peace and blessings. Okay, we got YouTube family in the house. I see you. OpenAI 65. Okay. Masamankali, Sister Effie, Kesong T. All right. Renaissance. Okay, OpenAI knows how to talk Kamitic. All right. I'm not surprised. Okay, Diddy is with us on YouTube. Nebatep, what's going on, brother? Be Your Own Peace is with us on YouTube, right on. We got Kentucky in the house. Sister Joan. Nareed Eb Hene from the ATL. Yes. Good to see y'all. Barbados in the house. Okay. And Oakland is here. Where else where are you at? Put your location in the chat here. We're going to stretch these Kamitic, beautiful, godly, angelic wings across this globe and spread the divine influence brought to you by our ancestors, our Shepsu. Boy, Dwanite, they left a record in stone. As the brother says, Ashra Kwesi was here in Philly with us. He said, the book's in stone. Dwanite, somebody had the foresight to know we need to take this precious, ageless wisdom and make sure it will last for a few thousand years when we're ready to come back into this world. All right, Frank, you fired up? You ready? I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 days at the Atefu conference. Got my Atefu merch on. You know, we're getting ready to make it happen in Philadelphia. A men's healing conference is coming your way. If you don't know, now you know. You can scan this code right now and check out our page and see what we have going on. You'll be able to hear from our great master teacher, Raul Neframen, on Sunday, and many, many other powerful teachers and brothers will be coming together to share our energy, to level ourselves up to the next level of peace and joy and spiritual elevation so that we can be the men that we need to be for our sisters, for our mothers, for our daughters. All right, sir, I see you. We got Oakland in the house. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, we're going to get this started. Today is session 1. And for those of you just joining us, those of you taking a peek at us from our Instagram channels, I want to welcome you, say peace and blessings, hetep to you. This is a Kamitic legacy, and we have a powerful program that's now about a year old, maybe more. It's called KGM, or Kamitic Guided Meditation. It's your opportunity to have an expert, a master in meditation, in all forms of meditation, who has now concretized, synthesized, put together our ancient ageless teachings from ancient Kamit, from Indus Kush, from the Harappa Valley, from Canaan Sumer tradition, and he's brought it all together as he has done in his master work. Where is it? I got to keep it close. If you don't know, you've seen this before. It's pronounced Meduneter, Volume 1, Masterpiece, now available in hardback. This is a 50th anniversary, 50-year edition, right? Way back then, and even before the book was published. He showed us the thread of truth that links together all of the high spiritual traditions, and showed us the correspondences so that we could communicate with each other. We could understand what our Hebrew brothers and sisters are saying. We can understand what our Yoruba brothers and sisters are saying. We can understand the Akan tradition. We can understand the indigenous traditions from the Americas. We can understand and we can apply the sacred teachings of some of our greatest ancestors who built the civilization of Kamit, or ancient Egypt, as it's referred to, and we can know what was it that made their civilization so great and last so long, and made it the womb out of which all civilizations going forward, including the Western one, were nurtured, were developed from our great ancestors. So we have the high privilege of being able to learn from this master who is now 53 years in service to the community and the world, to learn from him in person through the beauty of technology. And not only that, to ask questions, right? Like in the old days when you went into the temple, the monastery, and you were able to have the guidance of the guru, the guidance of the sage, the guidance of someone with vast knowledge and experience in living it, to help you on this road of spiritual growth and development. That's what Kamitic guided, that's what we say, and we say in guided, Kamitic guided meditation with the master teacher Ra'un Nefer Amen. And every month we focus on a different aspect of the one supreme being. Some refer to as the archangel or the attribute of the Most High. In Kamit, we call them the Netaru, and they are understood through the faculties of the spirit that manifest according to a calendar, according to a schedule that is the foundation of astrology. So we learn how to not be ruled by the stars, but to rule our lives through the energies that are moving in a cyclical manner, moving through cycles every month. So every month we come together, we get debriefed on what is the energy of this month about, right? And how does this energy relate to my success in my spiritual development, my spiritual evolution? How does it relate to my success in my business, in my family, in me taking care of my health? How does this energy relate to what's going on in the world and how I can align myself so that I'm lifted up by the energies that are trending, as opposed to smack down, right? Get a beat down. And you wonder, what happened and why did it happen now? Because the wind was blowing a certain way and you didn't have your sails set the right way. So we get that in session 1. That's what you're going to enjoy tonight. And then in session 2, next Thursday, we actually do a meditation together online. Now that part, you have to be a member. You got to be a subscriber. And it's cost you a ransom, $25 a month. $25 a month. You get to be a member and you'll be invited into our private online public meditation. And then on session 3, you'll be able to report on your experience with the meditation as you worked with it through that week. And you'll be able to ask questions and also learn from the experiences of others, because spirituality and spiritual evolution is certainly a group process. Okay, I see you, Helen. Achampong, Wahuntasang. And I see Dr. Brown has joined us. We can get started. She's got volume 1. She says it's a masterpiece. And she also has the realization of Netanu. I saw that in your library. Brother Rametza, welcome. Okay, so we are assembled, we are in place, and want to bring to the stage of Kamitic Legacy, the founder of Kamitic Legacy, the founder of the Asaroset Society, the author of over 40 works, including the 7-volume Meduna Tear groundbreaking set. And the author and composer of the meditation music that you will be using in Kamitic Guided Meditation that has that has 40 something, some of them, but most of it 50 years of practice and efficacy, proof that it works. So let's put our hands together virtually for the master teacher, Ra'un Nefer Amen. We refer to him as the Kgm Herukhuti. That's the title of the leader of the nation in ancient Egypt. And we greet him in the words of power and peace. Anech Harak. Kgm Herukhuti. How are you this evening?
Fine. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction of our teachings and our programs. We owe a lot to you. Thank you.
I have a debt I can never repay. All the blessings that you brought to my person and family, community, people all over the world. So tonight we're talking about Heru Khuti.
Yes, that's Heru, whom some people in other traditions refer to as Horus. But Heru, it's actually a word of power. It's a word of power that awakens and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the most highest advanced faculty in man's brain. Khuti, meaning, that which extends beyond the horizon. In other words, if you can think of a power, our ancestors were such great poets that when they want to speak of the immense power, the martial or Heru Khuti, the Heru Khuti part of our spirit, they wove this phenomenal metaphor, image of a power that extends, beyond the horizon. You say, well, how big is something? Well, think of the horizon, walk towards the horizon, and when you get there, let me know that you're there. You will know how powerful. So that's great poetry, isn't it?
Yes.
And the question is, will you, if you could be responsible, would you want to have that power? You see that? And if you could wield that power, if you could grab a hold of that power and wield it, who could contend with you? So if you want God's, protection, people want a power that nothing can assail. People want a power that goes beyond the horizon. You see, the closer the opponent comes, the further he is away. And that horizon, is also a good metaphor for infinity and eternity. Brings it all both together. It's great poetry that has a application, a metaphor that has an application in reality. And we have to think about it because life is frail, isn't it? Life of all creatures is a frail thing. Yes, sir. And then when we think of the immensity of the evil that's out there, yes, sir, just not natural forces, but the ill-conceived power of man will drive many people to respond with fear, with anger, with revengeful thoughts, and the first thing that comes to mind is that my natural response to evil and injustice is my natural response should be fear, anger, worry, grief. Yes, because there are so many evil forces and entities and bad actors out there in the world that it makes you feel overwhelmed. But God is, as the people say, God is so loving that God is a place of power within our spirit that nothing can contend with. And before you jump to the conclusion that that power that no opponent can deal with within you, that great power is based on strength, physical strength. And the answer is no, my beloved. The great power that God placed at the base of our being, that base of our being is called the seat of Kundalini or original Chi or the Ra force. That power is founded on peace. And the ability to be peaceful in the midst of challenges, in the midst of threats, that ability is coachable. You can learn how to develop the ability within you to remain peaceful no matter what is going on in your life and around you. You see, the greatest power within you is not in strength. It's not in you finding strength. It's not in you finding a weapon, a nuclear weapon. And by the way, that is why, the world is so corrupt. Because all the people with great power, billionaires, and people with great weapons, they are fearful. They're fearful beings. They are so afraid that they think that they have to just wrap themselves around great power. But God put within our soul, within our spirit, a power that we can cultivate. And when we are confronted with threats and injustice, we can arouse that power within our spirit. We can chant it into manifestation, into activity. And once aroused within us, we become, as the ancient poet said, the image of the horizon. You can hear the word horizon, you can hear the hor, or heru, horizon, or heruzan, or horusan, or horus. If you had to build that word in the Western language, they build the word horizon out of heru. Yeah? We add an explosive to the end of the word Herukhuti. So when you chant Herukhuti or onk, or ong, they're interchangeable. They awaken the same vagus nerve force within you. So when you chant Herukhuti ong, and the other part of it is Herring, which explodes the Herring or the mantra of Heru or Horus. When you awaken those sounds within you with the correct vision and the correct affirmations, then you will put into motion, into play, a force that the unjust would have to yield, a force that the evil person will have to yield to. But remember, this force is not based on you having more physical strength or so-called strength that comes from weapons and things of the nature. This is the strength that comes from peace. It's a peaceful immobility, meaning that you cannot be moved from your point of rest. And the essence of the cultivation of this force lies in your ability to create an aura around you, a light, a color around you, which is purple, bluish, deep blue, purple, with a tinge of red in it. If you can, visualize those colors, enveloping you, on protecting you. The opponent, the unjust, must yield. You see that? And the ability to create that color, that aura, that auric force around you is not based on the power of imagination. It's based on the law that, you see, when you are performing certain acts of peace, certain acts of love, when you are, constantly performing love towards others, love towards God, love towards, even the person that ignorantly calls you his or her enemy. When you're performing those acts, your aura turns into a deep purple reddish color, light, that drives evil away, that drives the negative forces away from you. And I'm speaking of those negative forces that walk on two legs and surround himself with nuclear weapons and things of that nature. There's something greater than that, because if you travel towards the horizon, you will come to not the end of the world, you come to the world without end. You see that? So let us move from the abstract to the concrete here. You are enveloping yourself with an auric force of energy. And don't forget that all events in the universe are made possible through energy. People confuse each other and people in the world by believing that the word is a source of power, that in your mind and the words that you narrate and so forth will generate the powers, for you to be successful and accomplish your goals. No, it is the forces, the energy, what the Chinese call the Qi, Egyptians call the Ra, the Kundalini and pranic forces of, the yogic tradition, the power, of the horizon. You see that? Is wielded by the kind acts that you cultivate in your life. Cultivate your person to be kind towards people who don't have it together. Cultivate your person to care about the infirm, to care about God. And in the Kamit tradition, you show your care of God by furthering God's agenda. In the book of Knowing the Transformations of Ra and Defeating Evil, meaning that as the more you know about divine truth, the better capable you are for eliminating the evil around you. So, my beloved, your ability to care for God's agenda, which is for you to become a divine being, for you to walk this earth like a divine being, because when you do that, when you're the image of God, the words flow from your mouth, the actions that flow from your life, from your legs, from your arms, from your body, all of these are imbued with that divine aura. You become a walking, auric force of divinity. I know this might sound, strange to some of you, but after this lecture here, go on the internet and look up, escapes me the name of that program. I don't watch it that much. They say that. But you will find that there's a lot of very important articles that deal with the power of light. You see that? Power of waves. And you find that the subtler you go, the deeper within the molecule, the atom, the deeper you go, the subtler you go, the greater power, is unleashed by that force. So the power you're looking for is not to be found in expansive force. The power you're looking for to protect you is not to be found in the feeling of energy and tenseness and tension, but in the feeling of peace. The ability to be at peace in the midst of these challenges in life. We're living, especially right now, at a period in history when the health of most well-beings is being threatened. Lots of people, if you've been looking, carefully in the past 10 years since COVID, you'll find that there's more and more and more and more mentally ill people. You see, that is that excessive tension and fear that is taking hold of people's soul. You see that? People have not been taught and do not know how to be peaceful in the midst of the kind of threats that we're experiencing today. So many countries are seeking nuclear weapons and threatening to use it, and many of our youngsters are lost. If you look at the data on the internet, you'll find that young people today, especially young males, you see that, are growing up and living in a frenzy of anxiety. They don't know where they will be 5-10 years from now. They don't know how they will be in a safe space. And that safe space for all mankind is resting deep inside your soul and your spirit. The word and the image that God has bequeathed you with, use it to cultivate affirmations of truth, affirmations about your divinity. When you establish yourself as a divine being, meaning one who has the capacity to be at peace in the midst of challenges and ruthlessness. Because God gave you a psyche and a mind that is 100%, responsive, 100% controlled, by your will. So when you will your thoughts, to cultivate in your mind the truth that you are an invincible, that you are an invincible divine being. This is the source of your divine protection. But the thing is, you must cultivate that force, that knowledge of your divinity, while your psyche and your mind, have been aroused to the frenzy of the universal power that resides in the horizon. There's a universal power that resides in the midst of the horizon, the horizon, horizon, the Heru Khuti, meaning, my beloved, God has blessed you with this power. Do not waste your years on earth pursuing, the pleasures of this world. Take time out. Take time out to nourish your divinity. Get to know it. You're not a human being. Human means humus, earth. Humus is the earth. The human is an earthly man. Think of why did they concatenate the word earth? Earthly like in dirt with man. Why did they put those two together to symbolize mankind, meaning a kind of man? Because there's another kind of man, which is a God man, a God woman. You see that? A divine being. and all of your spiritual literature admit that there's such a being. In the New Testament of the Christians, they say one of the disciples says that the problem with the world is man, the human, and he says, take off, the human garment and put on, your divine robe. You see, the divinity in man is also, taught in the yogic tradition. The rishi, R-I-S-H-I. Lots of people do not know that a rishi symbolizes the divine man, because in the Kamitic tradition we find that, you see, the symbol of divinity is the eye, because we, our divinity, our divine actions are carried out by seeing, by perceiving. And rishi means to perceive, the purusha, the perceiver. So when you master the yoga of Patanjali, you will find that, the mastery of that yoga is for you to get to the point where you should develop the ability to see yourself seeing, as opposed to getting lost with what you can see. You see that? The highest stage of yoga is to arrive at the state, of consciousness, being conscious of being conscious. That is the greatest samadhi state. And that is what you have to do. Spend your time cultivating the knowledge of locking your ability to see, on what you can, and your ability to see, not what you see, but your ability to see. Once you put those two together and keep it there, you will see that which is looking as you is a peaceful entity. And that is how you know what peace, feels like. Student once asked me, how do I know when I'm peaceful? I say, you will know that when you're peaceful, when you're able to lock your seeing onto that which is doing the seeing. You see, you have to grow beyond what can be seen and fixate yourself on the ability to see that which sees, which is who and what you are. You're not the mind. You're not the psyche. You're not the soul. You're not the spirit. You're that which sees the soul. You're that which sees the spirit. You're that which sees everything that can be seen. You see that until you get to the point of seeing nothing but your ability to see. You are the seer, the purusha. You see that? So next week we will learn to go into trance with the Heru Khuti Heka, or mantra, as it's also called. We will teach you how to work with it, take you into the experience of that Heru Khuti, seeing earthsheds. So you can get a start on how to bring that state around for you, so you can go beyond responding with fear and anger and worry and grief, from the threats that you're experiencing in the world today. If you look at the politics of the people in power today, you will find that their so-called power rests in you being afraid, in you getting into fear. Being that they are not powerful, you give up your power to indulge fear. You gave them the permission, you see that, to make you believe that you are fearful, to make you believe that you are looking at that which is shivering in the corner. No, take yourself back out of the light and see your person as that which is doing the seeing, being conscious of being conscious, meaning that, you breathe in and out from the lower abdomen, until you get to that point where there's nothing to see but you seeing yourself as that which is doing the seeing. Take the time and disciple those words and take them into your meditations. So I know that, what I've said is alien to most of you. So I will give you the opportunity to ask some questions about tonight's lesson in preparation for, meditation next Thursday.
Yes, yes. So if you just joined us, we are in the presence of Ra'u Nefer Amen, the founder of Kamitic Legacy and the author of the Meduna Tear series, as well as 40 other books on Kamitic spirituality and the yogic systems and so on. We are talking about Heru Khuti, a power of the spirit and a faculty of our spirit that is in full effect this month in preparation for the Heru Khuti meditations that will help to uplift us. So, Shekim, you spoke about protection, as one of the themes of this faculty. And I just want to bring to the attention of the audience that in your book, you wrote a book called Ma'at, the 11 Laws of God, where you broke down the laws that govern the functioning of these faculties. And on the subject of Heru Khuti, you gave us the law, which some people may be wrestling with understanding, that says that we need to know that God neither punishes nor rewards nor protects, that you will have the comfort of controlling these for yourself. Can you share with the audience some insight into this law and how this would relate to protection as you were bringing to us today?
Yes, absolutely. Stress. I wrote a book called Stress Free for Life. And in that book, I showed that part of the foundations of having a stressful experience, giving into stress, part of it comes from the lack of control. If you're in a situation where something negative and dangerous is going down, you have a better chance of remaining peaceful and coming out unscathed by being in control. When you lose control of a situation, that is when you will perform at your worst to protect yourself, to be at peace, and things of that nature. So rather than create a world, in which God is your protector, God has given within you, has endowed you with a faculty in your spirit that enables you to cultivate the protection faculty within your Heru Khuti so that it can emanate automatically in situations, of challenge. Meaning that if you take the time to develop that spiritual power within you, Heru Khuti, it will manifest itself automatically as an automatic reflex, when you are threatened. So, if you spend your time now cultivating that faculty, now you are in control. You have the ability to choose, to respond peacefully, to maintain the peace within your being, and so on. Because you were sent here on earth to become a divine being, and that is a major part of your divinity. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
Most definitely, most definitely. All right, and please post your questions in the chat as we are going along here. Also, Master Teacher, you taught us that Heru Khuti relates to the fifth sphere of the tree of life. It relates to the manifestation of justice, and also corresponds to Ogun. In a world where such a predominance of injustice, we find ourselves in a world where a small handful of people control the majority of the resources, and through their connivances, have put many, the majority of people in very difficult or even survival situations, in such a world where there's such an imbalance of resources and power. How are we to understand justice? How are we to understand God's plan as it regards to this earthly plane?
Well, we understand justice, as part of the, let's backtrack a little bit here. The justice that we give to others is what comes back to us. You see that? Meaning that people, don't understand that the law, what the Hindus call the law of karma, the law gives you control over, your ability to escape injustice. You see, and I will explain that a little later because it's deeper than that. But you see, God enables you, to escape injustice by giving you the power, of controlling the flow of injustice and justice. Meaning that the law of karma says that which you do will come back to you. You give love, love will return to you. You give injustice, injustice will become of you. You see that? There's a saying that if you plan to do harm to somebody, dig two graves, one for the person you want to do harm to and one for yourself. Because you see, what goes around comes around. You see? So in the law of karma, you see, God is not punishing you. You see, the punishment that you're experiencing in life, is the punishment you gave to others either in this life or in an earlier life, in a past life. You see, and it's important to understand that man, does not live for just one life on earth. All of us have been here before on this earth, but maybe not on this earth, but on the earth plane, in some solar system or another, and so on. So the understanding is that, God will be unjust itself. God will be a source of injustice if there was no eternity. Think of that child that, is brutalized. Child comes to earth and does nothing wrong to anybody, but is brutalized and killed and, abused and things of that nature. Again, if that child did not live in a previous life, if didn't have that experience, then that experience, of a child being brutalized would really be, casting a negative light on divinity. You see that? So the belief that that there's only one life to live, is just simply the opinion of certain spiritual cultures. Other cultures have different experiences because they're more internalized. They spend more time, studying the spiritual side of life, so they have discovered the greater dimensions of life. The scientists say that, that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. You see that? And when we think about the creation of matter and the creation process itself, we find that there's a great intelligence behind all creation and all creativity in the universe. And to think that a being, will give eternal existence to energy and matter and a limited existence to life, is just counter, intelligence and counter, it just goes contrary to what should be the reality of things. How can you give more life to energy and matter, which are dumb things, than you give to life? You see that? So no, life is eternal. Life is, lasts for an eternity. We live the life, we die, we come back again, and we go through our experiences of living and dying and being rebirth until we achieve, our divinity. And that spawns another experience. And I would like for you to go, when you have the time, and get a copy of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Where they lay out their rituals and their experiences with death. They said, not only death, life after death, but they speak about their experiences, of, the living, cultivating and guiding the experiences of the deceased. They said, don't bother to read the so-called Egyptian Book of the Dead. That was not the original title of the book. That book really, the real name is Onukoser, meaning I am a divine being, and so on. The Book of the Dead is a name that the Arab, gave to this book that they didn't understand what it was about. So they called it the Book of the Dead because they found copies of the book, buried with the mummies and things of that nature. So they called it the Book of the Dead, but there's no such thing that the book deals with. It is Nuk Oser, meaning I am a God woman, a God man. So I know your question is very deep. We will be here all night trying to decipher all aspects of it. So reflect on what I've said, and we in the future can look deeper into this thing of, understanding immortality. In order to understand, your life on earth and why it is important to protect that life. You see that?
Yes, sir. Just one more thing on that question that you raised about the principle of karma. How would you respond to people who would say, well, the reason that this entire class of people or race of people or hundreds of thousands of people are going through this ravages of poverty or being colonized is because it's their karma then. It's something that they did in past lives, why they are all suffering this fate.
Right, very good. There's one, the tree of life, the highest, agent in the tree of life in the Hebraic Kabbalah system is Ein Sof, the Ein Sof Or. And Kamit is the letter we call Amen. You see that? And Yoruba is Oloduna Amer, and so on. So the whole thing here is that, the highest part of our spirit, enable us to be at peace. When we cultivate it, it enables us to be at peace in the midst of challenges, in the midst of difficulties, and so on. So what happens then is that we come into this world to become divine beings by going through experiences that challenge us to be at peace in the midst of these challenges. So what you have to understand is that your experience with challenges is not just simply and always, related to punishment. You see that? There are some men, that put themselves through great, peril. You see, the scale mountains, they go, diving in shark-infested waters and things of that nature. You see, because there's a part of their mind and their psyche that is cultivated. It's enhanced by them mastering danger, putting themselves, in the midst, of situations that can take their lives very brutally, and so on. So, the simplistic answer that, this individual or this nation is going through difficulties because they did something bad in a past life, that is a very simplistic way of thinking by people who are not taking the time to understand the nature and powers of the divine life. You see that? If men who are not divine men. If men who are not called men can find the peace within them to put themselves through great dangers for fun, then we can understand that divine women and divine men, can put themselves in danger in order to cultivate their divinity by mastering the ability to be at peace in the midst of challenges. There are many men in certain traditions that chose martyrdom, meaning they put themselves in a situation where they would be, they say, that they will be confronted with great challenges and dangers and things of that nature in order to rise above fear and grief and things of that nature. So you need to take more time to study, the spiritual life along, millennia. The spiritual life beyond, the one or two incarnations. Many of us have been here many times before, and we find ourselves going through, difficult situations, because we chose. As a matter of fact, in the Yoruba tradition and in many spiritual traditions, there's the doctrine of people choosing to come back to earth and agreeing to go through certain experiences. We all choose, and we all, we all see what we're going to experience when we come back to the new life, and we agree to go through it. You see, because life is not a thing about pleasure, and comfort. Life is a thing about challenges and growth. And the goal of this growth is spirituality and divinity. You see that? Why do you need to be a divine spiritual being unless you're going to be challenged with the worst things that life can dish out? You come to be a divine being because within your divinity resides the power and ability to rise above the greatest challenges, or as we said, that which resembles the horizon.
We are studying right now. We are learning from the master teacher Ra'u Nefer Amen. And on our YouTube channel, we have TN3123, who asked the question that many of us wonder: why does it seem that the wicked escapes karma? It appears that they do evil and become more powerful.
Once more again, you said, when you say the wicked escape karma, that's a false statement, because you said the karmic wheel, extends beyond, the one incarnation that you are experiencing now. You see that, meaning that they said you might escape, the justice meted out by your peers. You see that, okay? And the ability to kill others, the ability to do wrong to others is not a sign of power. So these are mental constructs that are incorrect, that the evil person escapes karma or escapes justice. You see that? They might escape, you see, the justice meted out by their peers. You see that? But the lessons of not indulging in such behavior will come to them in a next life, you see. And then there are some people who do wrong in a life and seem not to go through, repercussions for their acts, but quietly they could be living, hell. But either way, in this life or some other life, you will go through you will go through experiences, that will redeem your incorrectness. And I say redeem because, like I said, some people, tempt. They come through life with a tempt. They say life to, let's say, bring pain and suffering to them, and they call it martyrdom. You see that? Mm-hmm. And the the results of such temptations, depending on how you view it. You see, if you go through it, as a being with the understanding that you are beyond, suffering because you're divine being, it's a different experience than going through, the difficulties of life with the belief that you're a human being suffering. You see that? There's a saying that which does not kill you make it stronger, but that statement is incomplete. What doesn't kill you will make it stronger only if you go through it in peace. Because if you're going through challenges, you see, without peace, you are already in hell.
And I think this question from Tiffany, who's in our webinar room, asks, it's similar. She says, can you speak on the connection between Heru Khuti and Shep Su in terms of ancestral connection to lifetimes or karmic cycles?
Well, there's no special relationship between Heru Khuti and Shep Su. There are no special relationships on the tree, okay? It's inner construct, and the connection that she's striving to make. So I would suggest that she revisits, the definition of Shep Su, which is our ancestors. That there's not simply someone who's passed on before us. The Shep Su are what we call the honorable dead, meaning that those ancestors of us, a handful of ancestors of us that took the time to preserve the teachings and so forth, so that they and us can have it when we come back to earth. You see that? Yes, that's the correct understanding of Shep Su. Meaning not everybody who dies becomes a Sheps. You see that? And so there's no special connection to Heru Khuti in that respect, or in any of the definitions of Shep Su and Heru Khuti.
Thank you. And on that note, Sharon in our webinar room asks, does one always return in the same race, e.g. black, or can you be black in a previous life and return as white or Chinese or another race?
If it is possible to change race or gender or whatever, in your reincarnation, I haven't heard about it. It could be possible. I cannot say that it's not possible, but I haven't heard about it and come across any evidence-based teaching that says that is possible. On the other hand, I can say that you don't need to go through, a change of race or gender or whatever have you in order to learn the lessons of spirituality.
Mm-hmm. We have Xavier in our webinar room who says, if the essence of our spirit exists beyond time, is karmic justice not sequential in time? Can we experience karmic energy from something we have done on a different temporal plane?
Well, the statement is coming from the belief that there are different planes that we live on simultaneously or sequentially, okay? And that's what's, once more again, part of, the school of thought, that speaks about 4 dimensions, the 4-dimensional life and things of that nature. Once more again, not in my experience, And one of the things that, is very important to understand is that this spirituality is a subject that has, in recent years, escaped what we call, fact evidence, support. By its very nature, the spirit and the soul, by their very nature, lend themselves to the belief, of all types of 4-dimensional, mental constructs. You see that? And my experience in spirituality is based on the practical understanding and application of spiritual teachings, meaning that in ancient Egypt, men and women who achieved the divinity, you know, um, went through rigorous, pre and post life, rituals to certify their spirituality. And those were the goals of life. They say that, and it's important for the spiritual student when they come across these ideas about four-dimensional and the the other teachings of nuclear physics, that has attached itself to spirituality. And, we need to understand that we must first seek, evidence, for the truth of these teachings, these ideas, before we lend credence to them.
Thank you. That's one of the beautiful contributions that you've made to the world, this understanding of spiritual science. And I just want to mention at this point, we're speaking with Ra'u Nefer Amen, the author of the Meduna series, but also the person who channeled an oracle system, the Meduna oracle system. And this is a device through which you can communicate with the highest faculties of wisdom within you and receive an answer that would correspond to some of these faculties that we're speaking about. And we have over 40 some odd years of experience seeing the evidence of the accuracy of these readings and how they point to these faculties. Shekem, I understand that you will be you have reintroduced the oracle system as well as the book, and that you will be that you are working on a course where people will be able to experience how to use an oracle system and get some of this scientific verification of spiritual principles. Can you share a little bit about that that is coming to us soon?
Yes. One of course, the I Ching, right? The great Chinese oracle, enable us to build our community by guiding us, by giving us answers that were very objective, the divine answers, spiritual answers, and so on. So we built a spiritual community, and many people built their lives, their relationships, their career, through answers that came to them through the I Ching. So that is using the oracle, using spirituality with a specific spiritual mundane objective. And the same thing is with the Meduna oracle that I brought forth into the world, okay, some 50-something years ago, and so on. So that oracle prescribes meditations. It shows you what part of the spirit is engaged in you trying to become a doctor or a wife or husband. You want to, travel to live in another city. You want to find the best school for yourself. And the answer is just not simply yes or no. The answer is, if you do X, Y, Z to develop yourself spiritually, to become a God man or God woman, this is the faculty that you must arouse and awaken and strengthen for it. So the Meduna oracle it lets you know, whether it's best for you to do something or something else, but the success of what you're doing will come through by the cultivation of your divinity. So it becomes a part of an initiation mechanism. You see that? So, and that's what I mean by, fact, evidence to support, your spiritual ideas, your ideas about the spiritual life and things of that nature. You see that? Okay. So I'm working on a version of the book that will go deeper and wider and more applicable to people's life as a guide to understanding the spirit world, understanding, the earth world, as well. You see that? Because when you consult an oracle, whether Ifa, or Kgm or the lunar oracle, sorry, when you consult this oracle, you find that the answers are right on point. The answers are as like somebody in flesh and blood sitting there next to you, counseling you, telling you what mantras and heka to use, and then you see those things happen. Telling you what gemstones, rubies, or whatever to wear to bend the light to conform to your aura, to help you achieve your goals. Telling you what colors to wear. You say green or yellow. You say when you are going about a particular experience or whatever, to do better, to do your best, and so on. And you see those results. You see, as long as you attach the obedience to the 11 laws of God to the counsel that's been given to you, and so on. So if the book is forthcoming, and it should be exactly when, but I had the feeling, okay, that's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months.
Thank you so much, Kgm. We appreciate your time. We have a number of questions online. And then, of course, we want to get back to the questions that relate to this powerful understanding of how we generate the aura, the energy of protection around ourselves, and what we're going to focus on in our meditations this week and culminating Thursday, or I should say initiating Thursday with our group meditation. So we have Summer Joy in our webinar room who says, can you speak more on the work we can do to evolve from just being a human being and to operating more as our divine selves? Gratitude and appreciation for your energy.
I I wrote a series of book, The Lunatic, 7 volumes so far, and volume 4. Okay, volume 4 of that series, has an initiation curriculum in it. So I recommend that you get a copy of the book, okay, and go through the exercises. Everything is very well detailed inside there. Go through the exercises that will take you step by step on how to awaken each faculty, each of the 11 faculties. The mantras are there, the laws are there, the exercises that you must, put into practice. And when I say exercises, I don't mean in the sense of, not just exercising, because the spirit doesn't make a difference between what is real and what is not real. What you do is what you do. Whether you did it in your mind or you did it, in your body, in your everyday human life, it is real. So get the copy of the book, Meditation Volume 4, go through it. But in another year or so, we will have a fully, revamped, universal initiation system in place. You see that? Okay, I'm writing a book that's going to integrate the teachings of Kamit, the Taoist tradition, the Yoruba teaching, the teaching of the yogis, ancient yogis of India, and so forth, because they're all this, and also the Hebraic Kabbalah, they're all basically the same teachings at different levels of understanding, okay, and different level of expression. This is, but the book will be a celebration to the spiritual genius of mankind. You see that? And one of the reasons for this book here is to counteract a lot of the Western, non-verified, ideas that have attached themselves to the spiritual teachings of antiquity.
This is why we so appreciate his time. Oh my. So we have Isa Muhammad on our YouTube channel, and he states, I believe that's a he, according to the Native Americans, Wetiko is a term which relates to a psycho-spiritual illness. Is the current world suffering with this ailment? Peace and blessings and one love.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm not familiar with the word. I'm not familiar with the name of the illness. Okay, but all illnesses are cyclical. All illnesses, come, recede, and come back. Everything in the universe is governed by the law of cycle. So, and the thing is, but I'm glad my brother pointed that out, because one area that I will be studying, this fall here coming, as part of the universal, initiation system I mentioned earlier here, is the Koshina dolls. The Koshina dolls are really, each one is a symbol of a part of the soul. You see, and they tie right in to the soul symbols of the Taoist tradition and the I Ching. You see that? And it's time that we give a major recognition to our, brothers, in the American Indian tradition here. You see that? But the teachings very much like the I Ching and the Tree of Life are found in the Koshina dolls. So maybe my brother that asked the question will take the time out to study the Koshina dolls and make correspondences through my Meduniter to the universal, quest for spiritual enlightenment.
And we have Forever Young on our YouTube channel who asks, is it possible to redeem out past with meditation in this lifetime? I think they're speaking of the karma we were speaking of. Is it possible to redeem out the past with meditation in this lifetime? If so, how?
Absolutely. As long as you understand that you're going through challenges in life for spiritual growth. You see that? Now, some of these challenges you were supposed to not give in. So if you gave in, then you have to redeem yourself. In some cases, you did not give in which case you learned your lesson. So if you find yourself, you see, at an early age, inclined to certain, incorrect behavior, and you don't know where they came from, it is most likely that incorrect behavior was cultivated in a past life, and you can redeem it not just through meditation in a certain kind of meditation. And it's important to understand that the act and state of meditation by itself will not redeem you. You have to take, meditation is a way of taking into trance, going into the deeper recesses of your mind and your psyche, to recondition the engines of your behavior, your conduct, to manifest the proper conduct and the proper behavior and so on. So just that meditation is using meditation for the proper mantras, the proper affirmations, the proper spiritual, scientific, knowledge to make a change in that behavior process.
Welcome, welcome. If you're not familiar, we're speaking with Raul Nefra Men. He is the author of the Kamitic Meditation system, which combines the Heka, or words of power, with the breathing techniques, with visualization and affirmation, all in the package of a meditation script. So if you're not familiar with meditation scripting, You can learn more about that in the Ma'at 11 Laws course. And of course, you'll be exposed to that as you join us in our Kamitic guided meditation, our KGM practice. Fred Bantu on our YouTube channel asks, can we stop coming back to this dimension / Earth?
Well, my brother left out the reason for that belief. The reason for the belief of not coming back to Earth came from the Buddhist tradition, you see, that looks at life on Earth as a place of eternal suffering. This was a behavior, a philosophy of Buddhist monks who did not master their teachings. So they never got to that point where they could rise above, whatever the earth could dish out to them. You see that? Once you become a divine being, then you will there's nothing that can happen in this world to cause you to suffer. Because to become a divine being means to transcend suffering. And let me not leave that topic. I want you to understand, my beloved, you came to earth to transcend suffering, to get to the point where you arouse all your spiritual faculties and your soul's faculties to place you beyond anger, fear, worry, grief, temptations, whatever. You are greater than and any of these things. You see that? Once you master them, the earth will lose its ability to make you suffer. So you have no problem to avoid, no reason to avoid coming to earth because you have mastered it. You see, in the Kamitic tradition, Heru, which is symbolic of a man's divine will, his major task is to triumph over evil, which is called Set, S-E-T, in order to inherit the greatness and powers of earth, which you call Geb. You see that? So in all of these traditions, you came to earth to master earth, to become the master of earth and enjoy and rejoice in its beauties. You see that? So once you master earth and you're now in the inner planes, you will be able to communicate with people yet who are still on earth, because that will be one of your properties as a divine decease, as a sheps, which will enable you to come back to earth and help to redeem those who are still on earth suffering. You see that? Lots of the great teachers on earth came back to earth when they didn't need to. They came back solely to help those who are still in this planet, suffering. You see that? And that's part of the divine life. Because for you to become a divine being, many people will have to help you, to teach you. So once you become a divine being and you die, don't give up on those who help you, and don't give up on the fact that you can come back and help others, redeem themselves.
Twa'u for returning. All right, we have Michael who says, what is the overlap? Oh, I'm sorry. I think he restated this more clearly. Let me find that. The overlap is Yes, what is the overlap between peace and joy? When you are in a state of joy, does your peace deepen or does joy break a state of peace? Peace seems to be taught as a state of calmness.
Very good. People mistake peace for calmness. Calmness is really muscular, relaxation, deep muscular relaxation. You see that? The difference between peace and calmness is not in the state, but in the way it is brought about. Meaning that peace by itself is meaningless. It's peace when and how. So when you are calm, meaning you are in a state of calmness, in the midst of a challenge, then we have peace. meaning that peace is not calmness by itself, but it is that calmness that comes into expression, you see, when you are in a moment of being challenged, you see, and threatened. You see that. Now, joy, there are a lot of things bad and good that can be enjoyed. Once more again, it is not the state of joy, it is the object of enjoyment, meaning that you see, the joy that matters, you see, is the enjoyment of being at peace in the midst of a challenge. Let's see that. That is the real joy. If owning, you know, a Lamborghini makes me joyful, that is meaningless joy. It is the joy that comes from the triumph, you know, over, you know, emotionality and greed and things of that nature. So, you know, learn to understand that, you see, it is not the state of peace, but the expression of peace in the midst of challenges that counts. And the expression of joy that counts is the enjoyment of that peace. Because when you learn to maintain the peace and enjoy the permanent experience of peace, that is called happiness. Happiness is a state of joy. It's the enjoyment of peace that doesn't end. And you see, this is what, you know, the yogis in their meditation and yogic exercises are working towards. You see that.
Boy, we are having a powerful night tonight, family. Put your hands together in the chat. I want to make a quick announcement, and then we're going to take just 2 more questions if we could, Shekem. I know we're coming up on the 9:30 hour, but I do want to invite everyone to either participate or to share in our Atefu conference. It's a men's healing conference that's happening, according to the countdown here, in 1 day, in 2 hours. It's going to be kicking off on Saturday morning. And you can go to atefu.org. Let me just share with you. This is the continuation of a tradition that was started by our master teacher. It's a healing space for men, for us to address the particular conditions that we face through our spirituality, through proper diet and lifestyle. So Saturday, May 23rd, this Saturday, we're starting off with breath and energy working. We'll be out in the park if weather permits. If not, we'll be in our facility on Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we'll also be on the internet, so you can join the program with us from wherever you are in the world and participate with us online. So it's a hybrid event, in person and online. We'll be talking about how to eat like a man, we say, you know, how to eat not according just to taste, but according to scientific principles of diet, what foods, herbs, and supplements will help to nourish you, to help with your longevity, with your performance, with your mental clarity, and so on. We'll be talking about mental health, meaning mental fitness and resilience. And we're also going to be having special sessions for the youth. This event is free to 17 and under. And we want to encourage you to encourage your sons, your nephews, your grandchildren, grandsons to attend this event and learn from spiritually oriented experts who have been in this lifestyle for decades. We also have special workshops for them featuring one of our chiefs and priests who runs a youth school, I don't want to say African-centered, a truth-centered school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, be joining us. We're going to have Wayne Chandler as a guest. He's going to be speaking about the African origin or genesis of the martial arts and the healing sciences. And we will also have some meditations that we will be doing live in person. On Sunday, we will be speaking about cultivation of male sexual vitality and the elevation of that sexual energy to your spiritual development. We're going to be talking about the real foundations of manhood, that is the ability to live and govern your life according to the higher laws of Ma'at. And we will have a keynote address by none other than Ra'u Nefer Amen on the application of the Kamitic sciences to achievement and success. So this is a fundraiser, an event to help us to build our organization. I did see the question about, are there physical spaces where you can learn about Kamitic spirituality? Yes, you can. We have various places around the country, and we are building more with your assistance. So you can go to atefu.org. And I also want to mention that we will be having health services available, given by Dr. Chester Phillips, who is a doctor of complementary medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. You can get your pulse taken, you can get examined, you can get acupuncture treatment, and also he's certified in herbal therapy, Chinese medicine. So you can book right on the website an appointment, and they are limited. So if this is something that you are able to attend and you need some assistance, make sure that you take advantage of that. We will have a Buy Black marketplace, and we will enjoy cuisine from Philadelphia's longest running vegan restaurant, that is the Nile Cafe. So I expect to see many of you there. And if you're watching on a screen device, you can scan this code on your screen right now and get to our website, get all the details, and get yourself registered. You will also have the opportunity to purchase the recordings of the event if you're not able to attend this weekend. So with that, let's get to the last couple of questions, and take this one down. So we have devoted follower, all right, in our webinar room, and he says, in your book, Qigong Success, there is a special breathing known as Dumo, or Gatumo breathing, that is taught. Is this helpful in supporting the Heru Khuti faculty and overall health? And is the procedure described the most up to date? Thank you, sir, in advance for your life-changing work.
Very, very good question. If you go on the internet today, you'll find a lot of articles and YouTube, demonstrations and tutorials on the Dumo breathing. The one book that I would recommend, and if you want good evidence-based information on Dumo, follow just one book. It's called Tibetan Yoga. Ivan Wentz, W-E-N-T-Z, Ivan Wentz. I know he's a white man, but he paid his dues. He went to Tibet, studied with the monks for many, many years, proved himself, and they initiated him and taught him many, many, many secrets of yoga, mantric, kundalini, and so on. But of all of the articles I've seen on the internet, in books, and so on, they all pale in the way they teach. They all pale in the way they teach, to the book by Ivan Wentz, Tibetan Yoga. You will also want to get a book on the different, bandhas in Hindu yoga, because Dumo breathing, is based on the bandhas, the binding techniques of yoga. And the third thing you need to get is a teacher. That's why I paused at the beginning, The third and most important thing you need to do will be an authentic teacher who has been, certified as a master of the system. Because if you decipher the teachings, and that some of it has to be deciphered to keep it out of the hands of the wrong people. Okay, if you have to decipher it, it has to be done by and with the help of somebody who is a master in the system, because there's a lot of harm that can be done. What kind of harm? Consider the fact that the Tibetan monks, in training, they were certified by their ability to sit naked in the middle of in the snow, and generate the heat. You see that caused the melting of snow as far as maybe 12, 15 feet away. Nothing in Qigong comes anywhere close to this. Nothing in any other form of yoga comes close to this in its power to generate, the sacred fire within. You see the yang qi, the pranic forces, the kundalini energy, and so on. And this was just the beginning for other applications. Once you showed your mastery of the heat generation power of the Dumo breathing, or Ksumo breathing, as they say in Tibet. But ask yourself, why do you need this? Why do you need this information? Is it out of curiosity? I hope that is your reason, intellectual curiosity. You see, because what we need to be doing right now is learning spiritual teachings that will enable us to become, better, divine beings, or at least better human beings. We need to be learning spirituality to become better husbands and better wives, better and everything in this world, as opposed to some, out of the sphere of everyday life in this modern world. The Duma breathing did not keep the Chinese from overpowering Tibet. So maybe you want to focus more on the yogic teachings of the Tibetan masters. You see the mantras and so on that enable them to become the great people that they are. There are other teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead and so forth, and the teachings of the great goddess, Tara. You see that from Tibet, that you can put to better use, or at least more practical use in today's world. You see that the young man once said to me that he marveled at the people who could walk on stones that were set afire. And I said, I would prefer meditation technique that made me a billionaire so that I could feed the hungry around the world. You see that? So ask yourself these questions, and I'm speaking not only to you, but to the many people, who are pursuing, you see, the knowledge of how to really master the Dumo breathing. And nobody in the Western world today can step up and say that they master this technique, by just studying it on their own in the Western world. You see that? So, Tumor Breathing by Ivan Wentz is a great book. You learn so much about yoga, the real yoga, not the yoga that you can convert into Pilates and things of that nature. I'm talking about the real yoga. You see that? The yoga that transforms, a human being into divine being. You see that? Because as Patanjali said, when you learn to put an end to the thought drift, the thoughts that drift into your awareness, you will then behold God. What you will see is God. This is the real yoga. Tibetan yoga by Ivan Wentz deals with the real yoga of power, but like all teachings of power, it can harm you tremendously. So be curious. And most of you leave it at that. Or at least establish a foundation in the mastery of the 11 laws of God and the meditations on each of the deities that make up your tree of life, so you can have the 11 guardians, the 11 neteru, to guide you through the process, of mastering do more breathing. The book by Ivan Wentz will speak to you also about the 10 things that all yogi must learn and do and not do. The 10 things, which we call the 11 things. They call it the 10 things. And this is the way to, move through these teachings. Peace and love to you.
Thank you so much. I want to bring your last comments back around to our assignment this week and this conversation around protection and generating a field of protection. But I wanted to ask, relative to traditions that understand Heru Khuti as that faculty to protect us and to help us to bring about justice, how do we understand the history, for example, of Haiti, where the story is that Ogun was invoked in order to empower the people to free themselves from the colonial powers? And how would that relate to the use of this divine power of protection that is under our own control?
Well, first of all, get a good book on Haiti, the Haitian Revolution, Revolt, and you will find that they did more than just simply invoke Ogun. You see that. They also sacrificed many black pigs, rituals of black pigs, and things of the nature, and so on. And then I think about and they also joined forces. They got a mastery to pit the British against the French in order to defeat the French. You see that? And so the whole thing is that, you have to ask yourself, after Haiti was independent, what went wrong? We find that one of the leaders of Haiti, enabled the French, to kill the leader of Haiti, in those days. His name escaped me. Maybe one of you remember the name well. And invited him to France, under a ruse that they will make a good peace and help build back Haiti. And instead they turned their back on him and harmed him. The other point to understand is that, as a lesson to all the other African nations, Haiti was disenfranchised from all, knowledge and teachings that would enable them to rebuild Haiti, and bring in industry and higher knowledge into rebuilding the country and the people, to teach a lesson to other African people, not to repeat what they did. You see that? Because once the Haitians defeated, the French, all that the Brazilians had to tell, the Portuguese in Brazil was remember Haiti. So the Portuguese let the Brazilians alone. The same thing in America, in New Orleans and places like that, Louisiana, all that the black people said to the slave masters was to remember Haiti. You see, so it was out of great fear that the French, you see, kept Haiti down in a way to keep down all black people around the world, because they became so afraid of the great martial power that the Haitians, rose to overcome them. But the ritual that the Haitian did is not the same as the one that I'm giving you today. You see that the ritual that I'm giving you today is developing the auric force. That purple, deep red aura. You see, that is, mixed in with the 11 laws of Kamit. You see that? And the Hekau, Ong, Ring. You see that? Herukhuti Ong, Ring. So what we did in Kamit was different from what was done in Haiti and things of that nature. And you got to take your time and discriminate between, the different applications of the same teachings. Peace and love. Toussaint Louverture, yes, that is the Haitian, general and leader that was part of the, defeat of the French. You see, then he was taken into France, on the ruse that they were going to make peace and things of nature, and they ended up stabbing him in the back. Thank you for bringing back his name.
With the assistance of Dirty Bookman from Jamaica.
Bookman, yes. There's a Jamaican in the audience.
Yes, Dr. Bookman was the Jamaican that went around teaching Jamaicans how to read and write. Yes, sir. And that is part of the foundation of the liberation of Haiti. They said about, and so it was a Haitian, no, it was a Jamaican. Dr. Bookman.
All right. Thank you so much. I know it's late, but one last thing on this very important topic. You mentioned this auric energy, and so many of us, and we're coming up to this men's conference, it happens to women just as much, but men particularly have been put into situations of potential threat, either from authorities or from other people. You gave us the mantra Pahat, the PH mantra of psychic protection in the past. Is this something that would apply to working on this auric energy, or is that something different?
Something different. The Pahat, that's what they say in yoga in India, Pahat, P-H-A-T, Pahat, not fat, but Pahat. In Kamit, they say hat. They say the same thing, hat, and in India, Pahat, which is just simply emphasizing the hat with a P, right? Pahat and hat. And what that mantra does, it engages the vagus nerve, to generate, a force to obliterate a behavior with keeping you from indulging a behavior that you should not. You see that? So that's for self-control. The hat is, empowering the will in a given moment to rise above, giving into anger, fear, or some negative emotion. The Heru Khuti auric, containment, ball around you doesn't come from imagination or from affirmation. It comes from, being kind. When you are kind to others, when you're loving to others, when you are, in support to God's agenda, you see, your aura turns purple, deep purple, you see, and, with a deep, a tinge of red in there. Deep, also dark blue, a little tinge of dark blue, tinge of red, and so on. You don't visualize that happen, you indulge in acts of kindness and caring. He says that when you live certain spiritual truths, your life force changes. And when your life force changes, its rate of emission, when the life force, when the chi changes, its rate, its wave-like patterns and so on, the color changes. You see that? So visualizing it and wearing the purple that many monks wore in certain monasteries is not the same thing. It's based on the same tradition that purple will protect you, but it's not the same thing as you enveloping yourself with a garment of kindness and caring for God and caring for others. So when you chant, Heru Khuti, see yourself committing an act of caring. See yourself committing an act of doing something to promote God's will on earth.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up, y'all. Let's see your appreciation for this great teaching and all the time and energy our master teacher, Raul Neframen, the Kgm Herukhuti, has put into the Kamitic guided meditation system. So we greet you and will you a great night. Anet Harak, power, peace, and blessings to you. Kgm Herukhuti, Raul Neframen.
Power, peace, and blessings to you.
All right, that's a powerhouse KGM, y'all. I know y'all are fired up. What a great! I want to thank all of you who put your questions in. We got to most of them. Try to keep the conversation on track. So you can join KGM if you're not already a member. You can go to the site that's on your screen right now and sign up for KGM. It's $25 per month. Right now, it's been on sale for a year. Priceless, this information, if you think about it. Less than $1 a day, you get to speak to an elder, a master of spirituality, and receive the seated meditations, right? The guided meditations as a group next Thursday, and then have a recording of that for you to revisit in your meditations. And not only that, you get access to our library, our catalog of our previous meditations, all for that price. So make sure you go ahead and sign up if you're not a member. If you are attending the Atefu conference this weekend, you must be a KGM member in order for you to attend our Saturday evening meditation. Heru Khuti and Heru, we will be invoking that energy as we focus on the things that we need to do to grow, as he said, from man to God man. We don't want to man up. We want a God man up, brothers. So, to be in it, you've got to be a member of the Kamitic Guided Meditation. Go ahead to this address, bit.ly/start KGM, and you can become a member. You're going to receive an email, a password to sign into our membership portal. So appreciate you for being here, and we will see you next Thursday. Peace and blessings. Hetepu.
Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. True love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. I am you, you are me. The love we share inside is heavenly. This is true for all to see, that our souls unify in a common destiny. The time is now, let's start today. We gotta see each other in the highest way, 'cause everyone is a reflection of all there is. Nothing in return, nothing in return. I'm giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return, nothing in return. Nothing in return, nothing in return. I'm giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. Nothing in return. Nothing in return. As above, so below. Our love's connected from the head to my toes. You say it's true, I say I know heart to heart is the only way we're gonna flow. What goes up must come down. Gonna spread our love and chant the sacred sound. Everyone is a reflection of all there is. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. Love is giving, expecting nothing in return. Nothing in return. True love is giving, expecting nothing in return.